What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Copenhagen Blue. More Saturn stuff today. We're going to take the drive shaft down and try and see if we can get the center carrier bearing off. A shop quoted me like $800 to do it, and they just recommended a whole new drive shaft. Well, she's not getting a whole new drive shaft, I can tell you that much. But we're going to see what we can do. Let's get started. Let me show you what I'm working with. Here is the front of our drive shaft. You can see this is in good shape, and we follow it all the way back till we get back here, and you can see that's a little shot. So we need to try and get this drive shaft out, which isn't too bad. It just unbolts back there, unbolts here, and unbolts up front. But apparently trying to get this center bearing assembly off is a nightmare. To start, we're going to undo the front of the drive shaft. These are 8mm bolts, and we are going to mark the position of the drive shaft to the output shaft, the output flange, I should say, from the transmission. So that way, when we put it back together, it's lined up properly. 13mm bolts are out for the drive shaft carrier bearing here. Now that we have the front of the drive shaft disconnected, we have the drive shaft carrier bearing here that actually is pretty smooth, but very, very sloppy. You can see, yeah, that's bad. We have the 16mm bolts on the back of the drive shaft we need to remove. I can say, in all honesty, I have never taken apart a drive shaft. I've never done a U-joint. I've really never had much reason. It's never broken on me. So this is something new for me. I know how it works. I know, like, we need to get the clip out of there, and in order to do that, you have to squeeze that clip, which in this case is probably going to be pretty rusted. So I'm going to let some of this PB blaster sit on here for a little bit, soak in, see if that helps it. Maybe we'll try a screwdriver and a hammer too. That one is going to come out, I guess, fairly easy because it broke as soon as I hit it with a hammer. I'm sure they're all going to break. I guess let's find out. All I can hope is that the PB blaster helps the bearing caps let go. You know, that's the whole thing I'm hoping for at this point now. Hey! Alright, we got one that actually came out the way it was supposed to. We're going to try and drive the bearing cap out. If we have to, we'll heat this up. We'll try and drive it down that way. Alright, so we started getting the cap off here, and I ended up using a screwdriver from the inside and hit it so that I could get the cap off. And this one is, there we go. Ooh. Oh yeah, well, that one was bad. That would explain some of our thump, 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 thump when we're driving, because I don't know if you could see it or not, but those bearings are like dry. There's no way those things were moving at all. They're all flattened out and everything. But that's one. Let's see if we can get another. Then we'll be able to, I think, if we can get another bearing cap off, then we'll be able to get everything else out. And let's see if we can, I don't think this will work. Screwdriver seems to work pretty well. Alright, we're just going to tap from the inside, and what I'm doing is I'm hitting on the inside edge of this. We're replacing the U-joint anyway, if we can make all this work. So let's just tap, tap. Hey, there we go. So there's our other one, and you can see the bearings in there are smoked as well. So we really have, well, okay, we have one more to go, kind of, but hey, it's apart. That's at least a start, right? So we'll have to clean these out really well when we put the new U-joint in, if we get to that point. So we can set that to the side for right now. Haha. All right, cool. This thing couldn't have turned very well, and that would explain a lot of the vibration that I was getting in the drive line. this thing, it would always shake a lot, like under especially hard acceleration and things like that. There's a little retaining clip around the inside here. You can kind of see it's a little C-clip, and I had to kind of spin it around with a screwdriver. And then on the other side, you can actually see that clip right here. So we're gonna pop that off. Then the only thing standing in our way is getting that off right there, which is where everyone says you need the press to be able to press this off, and it takes like a 25-ton press. I do need to remind you that I took this to actually a shop and had the old assembly pressed off. Don't try and hit this with a hammer and get it out in a vise. I tried that, and all you do is kind of mushroom the top. But 25-ton press, got it out, no issues. Had to heat it up a lot, but once they did that, we were able to get the old one off, cleaned everything up, and now we're able to put it back together. Well, I've been able to get the carrier bearing on. It wasn't exactly hard, but I ended up using a 27mm socket, which fit over and rested just on the bearing. I used a rubber mallet. I did use a little WD-40, lubricated everything really well so that it kind of went down. And just tap, 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 tap all the way down, and I'm pretty sure that we have it fully seated. So now we're gonna put on, wherever it went. Nope, that's the 27mm socket. We need to put on our yoke. All right, we're gonna heat this up, see if it makes it any easier to get it to drop onto the spline, because I don't wanna sit there and beat the crap out of it. And yes, I know I'm using propane, not acetylene. I'm sure it's not gonna be hot enough for some people, but working with what I've got. I'll give it some gentle love taps. That's happier. Well, gentle love taps only got us so far. Our 27mm on the inside will hopefully get us what we need to get the, oops, that fell. Okay, I'll be back. All right, as you can see, we have our carrier bearing installed. We have our yoke on for our U-joints on one end. I just got the U-joint out for the other end. Now we're gonna clean everything up and see if we can't start some reassembly. We have our new U-joints here. We went with Moog. These are greaseable, so they have a grease fitting in the end right here. I am going to see how well this goes in. Cap just pulls off. Other cap pulls off. You kind of work it in here, and then slip our U-joint cap in from the other end. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use lubrication of some sort. I guess I'm probably supposed to, huh?
One puts lube on the yoke, otherwise they get the bind again.
I guess. 'Cause these things probably don't like to just go in there all raw dog. Make no guarantees that this works. Well, talk about a pain in the butt. I got the first U-joint in, but I actually had to use my drill with a sanding bit to open up the holes a little bit more, probably because of how much effort it took to get them out of there. So be prepared to put in a lot of effort if you're going to go through it. Things are finally starting to kind of come together with this whole thing, and I'm getting to the point where I think I'll be about done, you know, sometime in the next year. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the induction heater here. We're going to heat up the outside of the yoke where the U-joint goes in. And you can see it starts smoking pretty quick. You're going to get it pretty warm. I want to make sure this thing is expanded a little bit so that it's easier to get the cap on, because these caps have been a fight the entire time I've been doing this. So we're going to get this pretty warmed up. Probably should let that cool down for a minute. I might have gotten that a little too hot. In fact, I know I got that too hot. So we're going to give that a second to chill. Put a little grease to cool that down. A little synthetic grease might maybe make that a little happier, because, whoops. Let's see if this cap will kind of, ooh, look at that. It like damn near pressed into place without a whole lot of effort. Oh, yep, that's, would you just look at it? It's just beautiful. Hey, holy crap. Holy crap, that one went in without like half the issues that any of the other ones have had. This was by far the easiest one to put in. So, hallelujah.
Hallelujah! Holy s***! Where's the Tylenol?
So minus one little clip, we've got a completed drive shaft. New U-joint here, new carrier bearing here, new U-joint down there. Heck yeah. Surprised that actually worked. The reason that I did that was because I had tightened this down a little too much when I pressed the yoke back on to the spline. So it was making it where this bearing was not doing that. It was really tight. So now I've loosened the tension, which is cool, except for the fact that I loosened it a little too much and now I can't get a C-clip. But I'd rather have that problem than the other one. Now I just have to figure out how to solve this one. But that's okay. We'll figure that out. I'm not taking the U-joint back out. I know that. So I got to figure something out. But that makes me happy, because before it was so darn tight that, man, it would have bound up on me and it would have burned that thing out. It was like you could force it around, but did not do that. All right, let's see if we can get this knocked back down just a little. We just need enough room to get a C-clip in there. Almost. Just about there. I think that's beautiful. I think that's going to work just smashingly. If you haven't gotten an induction heater yet, get one. And there we go. So we have our gap back. We can put our clip in there. Time to put the drive shaft back in. We've got everything put back together. We've got our front joint, which we didn't mess with at all. And then we come back. We've got our new carrier bearing there. We have a U-joint, and we have our new U-joint down here. So let's throw it back in the car. As we put everything together, we're going to use some anti-seize, so that way if we have to take any of this stuff apart again, we're not going to have problems, or hopefully not have problems in the future. We've got all the bolts tightened down on the front portion of our drive shaft. We have the bolts torqued down for the carrier bearing on the drive shaft. We're going to put in our drive shaft loop towards the back, I believe. Where does that go? And then we're going to also bolt up the rear portion of the drive shaft. Well, I honestly didn't think that that was going to go back together as well as it did, and I didn't really think that I'd be getting the job done, in all honesty. But for like 60 bucks in parts and a little bit that I had to throw to the shop to have them press off that carrier bearing, it's all working just fine. So I appreciate you taking time to watch. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.